The title of the slide is UNCAC. That means United Nations Convention Against Corruption 2003. Now, there is no need to elaborate about the meanness of corruption. Corruption is not just making someone rich overnight. It threatens national economy. It is one of the means to make poor people poorer and poorer, because the government funds are siphoned for personal use, and the money which is meant for the needy, for the downtrodden, for those who are marginalized, money which is made for government hospitals, money which is made for reconstruction, for infrastructure, for railway, for defense, they are used for personal gains. So corruption is a type of problem that indeed has the potential to cripple not only economy of the country, but indeed the whole development of a country. And sometimes this enemy is not visible. Sometimes we ignore it. The uniqueness of this enemy is that there is an acceptability, social acceptability of this. People have accepted it. I remember things are improved now, but I remember 10 years back, we all can remember it, that if you go to a railway station and you want a berth, we used to say, भैया कुछ पैसे ले देकर berth दे दो हमें. Such a small thing, overnight journey. But I think many of us must have done it. 100 रुपए देकर 200 रुपए देकर बर्थ ले लिया हमने. Sometimes we happily do it. My father is maybe suppose 70 years old. He has to travel with me. There is a waiting ticket. It is essential to go. What will I do? I will happily give someone 100 rupees, 200 rupees. Indeed, I will feel obliged also that he or she has given me a berth. So one can understand the nature of this crime, that we become part of this, knowingly, unknowingly, happily, unhappily. That is known as corruption. Every other day there are news items in the government services. Day before there was NEET examination, and in Jaipur certain questions or papers were leaked, and this is the general news for almost many examinations. In many cases they are true, in some cases they are rumor also. But the proportion of money involved. The primary news suggests that every candidate paid around 35 lakh rupees. And the kingpin of this all has paid 10 lakh rupees to a solver who is a MBBS doctor from some place, maybe Lucknow, for 10 lakh rupees. And this is a huge amount. Certainly this is a huge amount. He may not be getting this 10 lakh rupees maybe annually. So 10 lakh rupees was a lucrative thing for him, and he was trapped in that, trapped himself without any hesitation, and he was caught. The student who paid 35 lakh rupees has not paid himself. We all know who paid. The guardians. Guardians like me and you. Because we were promised that there can be a seat. And we were told that if you will not pay, someone else will pay. So even if your ward is meritorious, he may not get the seat. See the uniqueness of this problem. We cannot just dismiss that this is type of simple problem, a plus b whole square type problem. No. So sometimes we accept it either because we are a part of it, or we are compelled to do it, or we have found a justification for it. That's why the United Nations has also understood it, that this is the problem not in India but all over the world. And therefore a convention has come. Of course, this is a convention which came in 2003, and we had a Prevention of Corruption Act in 1947, followed by 1988. So let us try to understand what is the link between our law and what is the mandate of United Nations Convention Against Corruption. You can see the slide that this convention against corruption came into existence in 2003 but enforced in 2005. India signed in 2005 and further ratified in 2011. Unless it is ratified, it is not obligatory to the country. It has 8 chapters, 1 to 71 articles. So, first is general provision, then preventive measures, then criminalization and law enforcement, then international cooperation, then asset recovery. I think these 4 are the basics of this: prevention, criminalization, cooperation, and asset recovery. Then there are technical assistance, mechanisms for implementation, and final provisions. There is another convention which indeed came prior to Corruption Convention, United Nations Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime. Organized crime is committed by organized group of people, and when they move from one place to other place, for example trafficking, this was something very old. Money laundering is comparatively new, I would say. Then narcotic drug problem, then money laundering there, corruption is there, terrorism is there, the transnational organized crime. Organized group are involved to commit crime from one state to other state. So therefore the convention was ready in 2000, and then it was enforced in 2003. There were 190 parties, 147 signed it. India signed it 2002, but ratified in 2011. There were 141 articles. There are certain protocols also added to it. But let us first discuss United Nations Convention Against Corruption. Chapter 1 is general provision. And it contains 1 to 4 articles. Purpose is given. The purpose there is no need to delve further on the purpose. Article 2 deals with definition clause. It contains 9 definitions. So public official is defined. Public official is defined in a very wide fashion. So it has 2 types of definition. One is status definition and other is functional definition. Status definition means those in legislature, those who are executive, civil servants, those who are in administrative capacity, and those who are judges. All four are subject to all four are known to be public official. Article 2, Clause A, public official. Then 2A, Clause 2, it talks about functional definition. That you may not be a legislature, or maybe executive, or maybe administrative authority, or maybe judicial officer, but you might be doing some public function. That includes public agency also, public enterprises also, or someone who is providing public services. They all are covered under public official. So wide definition is there. Then property is also defined under Clause D. Article 2, Clause D, property is defined, and a very wide definition, all types of property, where corporal property or incorporeal property, movable, immovable, tangible, intangible. United Nations Convention on Transnational Crime also in the definition clause defines property in the similar fashion. Clause E defines proceeds of crime. Proceeds of crime means a property which is derived through commission of an offence, either directly or indirectly. Proceeds of crime. Proceeds of crime is also defined under United Nations Transnational Organized Crime Convention 2000. That is defined under Convention Against Corruption also. The same definition is there in both the places. So that way we can say that this UNCAC, Convention Against Corruption, has imported some of the definition from its predecessor, United Nations Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime. Article 3 has some significance, greater significance. There are many definitions. I am skipping that part of definition. Article 3 has some significance because Article 3 says that harm is not required under CAC, Convention Against Corruption. There is no need to prove harm. What is the harm caused? We all know peculiarity of this white collar crime, or maybe organized crime, or maybe corruption crime, or maybe economic crime is that sometimes harm is not identifiable. Harm may not be seen also. So let me give it a small illustration. That I have a passport. My passport is lost somewhere. I need a passport immediately, but it's not possible due to certain reasons. So I have arranged a fake passport of mine. What is the harm caused? My passport was already there, it is somewhere misplaced, I am not able to get it, but I want to immediately enjoy that passport, use that passport. So I thought that, okay, I have a photocopy, I will get a fake copy. We'll make a fake original copy, pay something somewhere. It is very difficult to prove what is the harm caused, except that I was not authorized to make that passport. So the point is that harm is not required. So we can say that no consequence is required. That leads us to a conceptual point. What is the conceptual point? Conceptual point is that there are two types of crime. One is a consequence crime, other is a conduct crime. Classical theory of criminal law or conventional theory of criminal law says that crime should be identified by the harm caused, injury caused, injury in some form. Even if mental injury can be there, not just physical injury, but some injury could be there. So if there is a murder, there should be a dead body. There is a theft, that means there is some property stolen. So some harm should be caused, which is known as consequence crime. But then the modern laws have changed because they have learned from the difficulties that in many cases harm may not be caused or may not be proved at least. And unless proved beyond reasonable doubt, we know the rule of law says that that the benefit should go to accused or very simple person, individual. That is the command of individual right theory, or maybe third point of Dicey, spirit of laws. So therefore, in order to find a midway, the convention makes provision for it that harm is not required. If you can prove harm, that it's wonderful. If you cannot prove, that will not be disadvantageous to the prosecuting agents. Harm not required. Practically, sometimes it is very much required to prove, so that there is a so that all links are connected, circumstantial evidences, all are means all are connected, all holes are plugged. But in the strict sense, even conduct is enough, no consequence is required. That I think is a good development. Is someone wants to ask something? Okay. Fourth is protection of sovereignty. I'm not dealing with that. That it says that nobody intervenes in the sovereignty of the country. Chapter 2 deals with preventive measures. Chapter 2 begins with Article 5, and that is a recognition that it is better to prevent certain things rather than to prosecute it. Indeed, sometimes it is better to prevent because prosecution many times fail. And therefore we should make anti-corruption policies. How to make anti-corruption policy? So when you make anti-corruption policy, we must follow rule of law. Article 5 says it. When we say rule of law, follow rule of law, that means what? That means what? The law must be, number one, the law must be available. Law must be written somewhere. Law must be known to people. Means at least it is placed somewhere so that people are reasonably can access those laws. People are made aware of what the law is, and the law contains values also. That if people are arrested, then the rules of arrest should be applicable. So what is the policy that United Nations is thinking about? That proper management of public affairs and public property, integrity, transparency, and accountability. So let us mix, and it further dilates its policy under Article 6. That there should be, under Article 6 says, there should be a preventive anti-corruption body. So make an anti-corruption body, and therefore in India there are various bodies. CBI is one of them, CBC is another. Anti-corruption branch is there in various places, in various departments also. So anti-corruption body is there. So United Nations says under Article 6 that this body should be there. Second point under Article 6 is that necessary independence should be given to this body. Such type of body should not be mere formality. You give them necessary independence. And we will deal with what is the meaning of independence of these bodies. So means these bodies are able to carry out their functions effectively without undue influence. It is a very difficult task. So that's why people approach courts that now this investigation should be made under Supreme Court, not by CBI, not by CBC, not by any other agency, but under Supreme Court, because there is an impression that these bodies are government bodies and they may come under influence. Many times these are correct, many times they are wrong also. Then the next important point is independence, that under independence of these bodies, necessary material resources and specialized staff. Means the staff crunch is there in almost all places. I have not seen recently what is the position of CBI, but maybe 3-4 years back I have seen, and I found that in CBI itself there are various posts vacant. If the posts are vacant, how could CBI function effectively? CBI has not only to do corruption cases, murder cases, rape cases, and this case and that, all cases we are imposing on CBI, and we are expecting that CBI should work effectively. The prosecution rate should come to maybe up to maybe 90%. How is it possible? It's not practically possible if there are not material resources, not specialized staff. So United Nations Convention says under Article 6 that we should have necessary material resources, specialized staff. Are we giving them enough facility? Means in the time of technology, has official laptop made available to all CBI staff? I don't know what is the fact. If the official laptop is made available, is it updated? Or we are still giving maybe working with desktop? So necessary material resources, that includes training also, this type of training where we are interacting with each other, trying to learn from each other. This is also one thing, but they should be far more frequent, not just formality. Far more better training programs which are far more useful, not just information sharing from one side to other side, but to understand the difficulties of both sides. You convey us your difficulty, because we are here, we are not in the field. He is a law teacher, we have enough time to research, we will do research work and let you know how to do. ILA is always open to this. So necessary material resources and specialized staff. We cannot think of untrained, unspecialized staff who can deal with corruption cases. And who are these people we are dealing with? We are dealing with those people who are fluent in English, have been these many white collar criminals. They are taught in maybe Cambridge, maybe Leeds, maybe Washington, maybe in convent colleges, convent schools. They have power, they have connections, they have media power also. They will immediately say that it is witch hunting. So such a difficult task CBI and CBC and other bodies are doing. So are we giving enough material resources, specialized staff? Are we giving them training in the, maybe what is the training being given in West? How many CBI staff are trained in foreign countries? They should be frequently sent to foreign countries to know how the corruption cases are being dealt with. How many of them have been trained with FBI? Maybe Scotland Yard. So this is a very important question for me. Not just maybe a couple of you upper big boss. No, those who are dealing with that. I am aware that some of them are doing, and if some of them are doing, that's excellent. But more needs to be done. So necessary material resources and specialist staff is very, very essential in order to ensure not only independence but also efficiency, which is provided under Article 6 of this convention. Then Article 7 deals with public sector. public sector. And it says that in public sector, recruitment, hiring, retention, promotion, retirement, everything with a civil servant and non-civil servant, non-elected public officials, that should be transparent and time-bound manner. I am not aware of what is happening in public offices, maybe civil servants and CBI, but let me tell you what is happening in teaching profession. People, the promotion is due for last maybe 7 years. Increment is not being given for no reason. If suppose Anuradip is not given promotion or not given increment for some reason, that is understandable. But then there are many excellent people. They are not given promotion, not being hired. Hiring is not being made on the ground of merit. If it is done, then certainly we cannot fight against corruption. And Article 7 of the UN Convention that recognizes this, that recruitment, hiring, retention, promotion, retirement, everything should be based on transparency, objective criteria of merit, equity and aptitude, not on the basis of Ganesh Parikrama. That I know someone in Prime Minister office, I know someone in Chief Minister office, and therefore I will be promoted. No, that should be made on the basis of merit and merit only. I understand that is a difficult task, but that is not an impossible task. Some amount of bias can be there, but there are appointments which are made on the ground of maybe politics. So that we need to avoid. And if you are one of the appointing authority, have resolved that no, even if heaven will fall, I will not compromise with merit. So no regionalism. I am from north side, but someone is very meritorious from south side, I will appoint him. Someone is from particular caste, but he is meritorious, I will appoint him. Someone does not belong to my religion, but he is very meritorious, I will appoint him. So if you are in appointing authority, let us do it. Let us make a good beginning. Then remuneration and equitable pay scale. This is in public sector. It is Article 7 says that the remuneration and equitable pay scales. We cannot think of that government job is there and therefore there is a government security. Does mean that remuneration is being given. Is it at par with the industry? The remuneration must be at par with industry. I understand that after 7th Pay Commission, it is good enough. It is good now. But then, given the risk involved in this type of jobs, I think more and more needs to be done. Awareness of the risk of corruption inherent in the performance of their functions. This is significant. That are the officials, public officials, civil servants made aware of that what is the level of risk involved? You are dealing with thousands of crore rupees. You will sign and 200 crore rupees will be passed. Are you aware of the risk involved? That the people will come, they will give you various types of lucrative offers. How to deal with that? What is the risk involved? So these awareness should be made, these things should be made aware of them. That don't come in this pressure, either pressure of the bosses, because if pressure under bosses, under pressure of the bosses you do it and you are caught, boss does not help. Boss cannot help indeed. There are illustrations. I am not giving you illustrations now. Take example of Amar Mani Tripathi case, where a sub-inspector he helped Amar Mani Tripathi to divulge, to interfere with the evidences, and ultimately Amar Mani Tripathi with his family is inside the jail, and the sub-inspector was suspended, and then he was prosecuted. Ultimately, he was found dead in suspicious circumstances. Bosses cannot help if things go bad. You can find what is happening in Maharashtra. Former Home Minister cannot help. So awareness of risk involved, and please don't come in the pressure of wives and daughters and this person and that person, because sometimes they are extremely lucrative, gives pressure, but extremely risky. Please take note. So the United Nations Convention does recognizes this under Article 7. I am just left with maybe 7 more minutes. I just want to maybe conclude because there are a lot of things. Article 8 deals with codes of conduct. Then Article 9 deals with public procurement. We have a law for this public procurement. And then Article 10 deals with public reporting. But I wish to open the house for maybe next 7 minutes. If there are any questions, then I shall deal with question. Otherwise, time is 12:30, 12:15, and questions are welcome. Thank you very much. I again convey my uh, thank to the organizer of CBI Academy, who often call me and discuss and interact. I'll be happy to contribute more and more. Thank you, friends. Thank you. Please convey your comments, your questions, your agreements, your disagreements. Thank you. If you don't want to, means maybe there is a possibility that some of you don't want to ask questions directly to me. They can privately send me the question. I will not reveal the name. They can send the question to Somnath ji also, so that he can pass that question to me. Nipun Shankar ji.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thanks for the good class. I have a doubt, sir. So, how can we enforce the UNAS CSE through the Court of India?
That is, I think, is a very
How
good.
can we? That is the question.
Yes, I got that. I got that. See, when Nipun ji or on others also, if the internet is stable, you can open your video mode also. Video mode also. So, see, when an international law is there, international convention is there, the parties can sign it, may not sign it. Once the party signs, then it shows that they are in agreement with the provision, but then it cannot be enforced unless in the country, unless they ratify it. Once ratification is done, it is obligatory, and therefore the country or the parliament has to pass certain law. We have already passed a law, and many of our provisions are means par with UN provisions. So, for example, means any of the provision, you take any provision, these provisions are available either in the Prevention of Corruption Act or in the Money Laundering Act or maybe any other act. So this can be enforced through those laws. This is one. Secondly, in the name of public interest, we can file a public interest litigation citing United Nations conventions also. But United Nations Convention is a document which is not very strong document. Of course, it is a strong document, but not very much a strong document, very much decisive document. So if the case is really of public interest, for example, let me give you an example, that if the positions are vacant, lying vacant for a longer period, suppose there are 100 vacancies, I don't know how many vacancies are currently there in lying vacant. Somebody can update me. And suppose out of maybe 30% vacancies are lying vacant, then one can approach to the CBI, sorry, Supreme Court of India. That's that 30% vacancies are lying, maybe out of 300 posts, 90 posts are still vacant. How can we work efficiently? How can CBI work efficiently? And anyone can do. It is not that the CBI officers can do. I can do, or you can do, or someone can write a letter to the Supreme Court. You would recall these days, the Supreme Court has accepted a PIL on the vacancies under various tribunals. That for long tribunals have vacancies are there, and the government is doing nothing, and then Supreme Court has taken strict action, and now vacancies are being filled. So the second way is the public interest litigation. If some public interest is involved, then that way the law can be enforced. Third is writing to the government that these things are our suggestion, and our suggestion should be considered because of these reasons. So maybe suggestions can be given through the group, through certain group, through association. This is the third way. Then fourth is the civil society. So if you cannot come in picture because of CCS rules, you can discuss with us, and we will write a research paper, and we can maybe contact maybe the government either directly or through Twitter account or through maybe other social media account or maybe other government accounts. So that is the four way how to enforce the law. Nipunji, if there is any supplementary, you can add to the supplementary. Otherwise, I will welcome other questions also, comments also.